Okay, I want us to take it from this point of view now. Let's talk, let's change the tact a little bit and talk about legitimate travelers. I am a young professional, just finished from medical school, a young graduate from one of the best universities in South Africa. I am going to the UK for a couple of months on a business trip. And to get, first, the struggle is to secure the visa that would take me to where I'm going. Then, when the visa eventually comes, the terms and conditions that follows it becomes another burden I should carry. I get to the airport, I am treated differently because of the color of my skin. I get into the UK, I am treated completely differently because of where I'm coming from. I was at Gatwick a couple of years ago, and believe you me, a black guy like me from the Caribbean, from Jamaica, spoke to me and made me understand that even though both of us are blacks, I am a second grade because I'm an African person. My question now is, how do I, as a young, dynamic, modern day child of Africa that has no memories of the days of apartheid and all those things. I'm just a young man that was born in the 2000s and everything that's seen life the way life should be seen. And suddenly I encounter something like this. How do I begin to process it?
That's why I want to congratulate this radio station, because this radio station, what we capture history, current affairs, your state of life now influenced by history and into the future. And it's for us to keep on conscientizing our people. It's our duty. We create an environment of conscientizing. So you will come across that. So if we are going to be keeping quiet and not talk about our history, where we are and all that, yes, information, we are not the only ones competing for the hearts and minds of the black child, for the hearts and mind of the progressive white child. We are not the only ones. Our enemies who enslaved our forefathers, who colonized Africa, they are not stopping. They do it all the time to keep you divided, to keep you destabilized. That's how they gain more control. So we are in a competitive, ongoing environment. So what we are doing, and at a larger extent, whoever is playing a part of conscientizing our people, whether it's through reading books about Marcus Garvey, reading books about Louis Farrakhan, or any of our leaders. Right now I just mentioned Makafuli. His act and what he did and what he said, it resonated with me. Hence I'm speaking about it. That is part of conscientizing your people. It's very, very important to keep our history, our present affairs alive, which is what this radio is doing, and we have to do it all the time. And the other day I just said, everyone, please go and read the book Africa Must Unite. And I said the other one, Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. That is part of it, because that one who discriminated against you, he said to you at a second, it even happens here in Africa.
He told me I have no space in his environment.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. There are many. It's not only him. There are many blacks even here.
How does
some of our leaders are assassinated by the very black people, and you are fighting the struggle yourself. Do you understand? It happens even here. Here we have what we call a class struggle. Right? It happens amongst whites, any nation, but here we have it. Even in Nigeria, it's there. If you are not a multi-millionaire, not white, they don't have to tell you to be a member, a yearly member of a certain group in Nigeria. They'll tell you it's democracy is open, but they'll tell you to be probably you must pay every year $10,000 to be a member of that group. Already what they are telling you, if you're an intelligent person, they don't have to tell you like this guy told you. They are telling you, look, you are not of our class as much as we are both black. That's what this guy said it, but he said it in a crude manner, right? Same thing with the very leaders who lead us here in Africa, from South Africa to Cairo to what? Remember, the Arab Spring got rid of Mubarak. Mubarak was very rich, right? Why the ordinary people went, mastered the whole Arab Spring? Because they were not happy. Because their leaders were preaching rhetoric at the same time they are very rich, extremely rich. Same thing. I'm saying it comes in very, some people are crude, like the Caribbean guy who told you that, the brother who told you that. And it's his state of mind, it's his stage of development. Don't blame him if you can see beyond the horizon. But our very educated leaders here, I'll give you an example. When the past president, when the other president here in South Africa was gunning to be the president of the country, I don't want to mention names, but I'll let people use their intelligence because we've made a disclaimer and all that, and it's not fear, it's just being cautious and careful.
Yes.
Some people did not want him to be a leader because he never went past primary school in his education. He was just a goat herding boy and all that. But if you listen to him, he's got resolve. And the fact that he was in a struggle for all those days is intelligent. But ultimately, he did manage to be the president. But the fact is, besides other reasons that I don't know, others felt he was not educated, he was not degreed. Do you understand? Same thing with the Caribbean brother who's telling you that. So this thing is not only your experience, it runs in many places. It's called classism.
How does a child like this begin to process something like that?
Because
how does a 20-year-old that has nothing to do with yesterday or the 2 years, 10, 20, 50 years ago suddenly finds himself in a situation like that because he is with his dad or with his parents?
It's our duties, Mr. Chuma. From the time our children are born, we must educate them about our history, political history, and every history, where they are, about the type of world we're in. That's why I commended this radio station. It's very important. You and me, every time here, we talk about our history. And I have said it repeatedly. Our history presence, us being here now, my present life, and where we are going, our future tomorrow, it's inextricably intertwined. You cannot separate it. So from the time our children are born, they must know
what then, what in your own words shall I tell a 20-year-old who encountered something like that?
You don't tell them from the age of 20.
In a very public space.
You don't tell them from the age of 20. If God allows,
I'm just saying then
then you begin to educate them. You begin to educate them. I'll give you an example.
All right.
And he speaks openly about it. When Malcolm X was incarcerated in jail, when he went to jail at that point, he was not politically developed and sophisticated. He spent 10 years in jail. He could not even read and write. He taught himself in jail. He taught himself. And in those 10 years, he read extensively. Look, when he came out, did he not shake the world? Even at that age. He spent 10 years in jail. 10 years. But he could have sat and become a worse off thug. But he became one of the architects of emancipating humanity's mind and putting the spirit of being fearless in humanity. He did that. So it is our duty to teach our children all the time, from changing our curriculums at school from primary. Our children must know the truth about the harshness of this world.
How do people like, because you and I may be different. You and I may be knowledgeable enough to be able to decipher the differences between situations and the truth from the reality from fake. How does a semi-illiterate truck driver from anywhere begin to overcome that mindset, that mindset of I am not wholesome enough?
You constantly educate them. It's not a one-day affair. You constantly conscientize, right? That's why you have churches. When you go to church every Sunday, they'll tell you about the good Lord and Jesus and Abraham all the time. It's conscientizing, and that's what we must do.
Yes,
you conscientize all the time,
even in the face of, because most of them will fight back. Will tell you, look, don't tell me to do or to be who I don't want to be, or don't tell me to do this.
I
know who I am.
There are many people who fight back
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Even in churches, they fight back.
How do we begin to make them to emancipate themselves from that mental slavery? Because to me, that's exactly what it is.
You constantly educate.
When you believe you're inadequate. I'm glad I'm playing second fiddle all the time. You know, let me tell you another story. I went to put petrol in Eastgate here, in my car. I came in, the guy was there, another black guy. He looked at me, I was waiting. I was sitting in the car waiting. He was doing nothing, he was just standing there. Even when I called him, he looked at me, he threw his face away.
Until a white man came.
A white guy came, he goes to him.
How did I know that?
I now got out of my car and told him it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It took the manager, a white person, to intervene.
Right.
And actually threatened to get him fired.
Right.
I now had to start pleading again.
Right.
On his behalf.
Right, yeah.
I told the white man, I don't want it to be on my account.
Right.
How do I change that kind of mindset?
Constant education, persuasion. You work at it. When you grow up a child, when you're a coach of a team, you don't coach for one day. It's a way of life. There will be pitfalls and disappointment, but if you are a spiritual coach who looks at life not just only physically and spiritually, you are patient. You constantly, again, I don't know, today I'm giving biblical example. I want to give you the story again about Jesus, right? When it came time for him to die, when he went to pray and all that, what did he say? He said, some of you will what? Will deny me.
Yeah.
This is now time of death, my friend. It separates boys from men. It's time of death. But he took these guys. They could not catch even fish. That's the metaphor for me. He taught them how to catch fish. It might not have been fish, whatever they did not know, but he put them at a certain pedestal. But when it came, either you go to prison or we kill you. Jesus ended up carrying his cross all by himself. Is it the crow or the croc crowed 3 times?
Yeah,
and someone denied him.
Yeah.
Yes, they all ran away. Helter skelter, right? They ran away. That's what happens. But still, even when he was crucified, he said what? Father?
Forgive them.
For
they know not what they're doing.
Yeah. So
yes, sir.
He constantly, as far as the book tells us, he constantly persuades. That's what a revolutionary does. Because you have been endowed by nature or by God to see beyond the horizon. Not everybody, you must understand, that will see beyond the horizon. We don't have the same threshold. We don't have the same aptitude. We don't have the same resilience. So if you have a much stronger resilience, if you're better, elastic and flexible, that's why time and place has chosen you. Fate has chosen you to lead your people. So be patient. That's why I keep on saying, if you're going to be a revolutionary of your people, there's going to be many disappointments. You must have love for humanity. Because if you do not have love for humanity, you are not yet mature. Because if you have love for humanity, you will not be dissuaded from the glorious point of love. But it doesn't mean you are naive. If someone does wrong, you will mete out whatever remedial action that has to be taken, whether it's punishment or not. But you must, not everybody is cut from that cloth. No, you know that. Not everybody is cut from that cloth. Yes. That not everybody is prepared to die for everyone and lose their temporal. Even if you tell them, but why are you free to die? It's a temporal life. They will tell you, I'd rather enjoy my temporal lifestyle than to die for that ethnic group. There are people who will tell you that arrogantly.
Yes.
I will not die for that ethnic group. These are not people. Remember what was happening in Rwanda? I don't want to mention what groups, but certain groups were calling each other cockroaches. Can you imagine? You remember?
Yeah.
Cockroaches. Then there was also a video last week or 2 weeks ago. I think I did send it to you on social media, where a particular white woman, right, said, I don't know why they're trying to ban pit bulls. White people and pit bulls, these are lovely and they were created by God. And I don't know who the hell created black people. So do you see the comparison? So certain human beings are like that. Now, because a white has spoken like that, must it blind me, Malusi, to a progressive white person who I can see all their characteristics. They are willing to help humanity and die for humanity. Because we had them in their struggle. Do you understand? You must be able to see beyond that. And it's not everybody. But if God has endowed you, or Mother Nature, if you don't belong to God, if Mother Nature and your conscience has endowed you with that capability, then you better use it, because you are the one candlelight that will shine light to the whole global darkness.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Education
for life, as a way of life. Absolutely. But you will be disappointed on the way.
Followed by patience and persistence.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes. It's a way of life.
Okay. Let's look at it from another perspective.
Right.
Religious.
Right.
I am a member of this religious group.
Right.
And you are a member of that religious group.
Right.
And because you are that, automatically you're a suspect.
Absolutely. Sometimes you get killed. Many times you get killed.
How do we deal with that?
We must deal with it all the time. Since I came to a radio station, I keep on saying, I speak in global Pan-Africanism. I know there will be differences. I know there will be bickering. I know we'll exchange fists and blows. But for us to be a better people, if we fight individually, we won't realize our potential, right? So global Pan-Africanism means we put our differences, we merge them. Unity in diversity. It's easier said than done. It's not easy at all to do that.
Yes.
But we push with a united front. Myself, I've got friends who are Muslims. My friends, I've got friends who are Sangomas. I've got friends who are atheists and agnostic. They are good people. They love people. But the whole concept of God,
it's not for them.
They will tell you this is pure imagination and all that. They will tell you the truth is, Malusi, we do not know where we came from and all that. So, but I must be able to embrace my friends who are Muslims, who are agnostics, who are this, who are that, who are that. We call that a united front, because you must try and find a common thread that unites you. Different talents that you. He might be a Muslim, but he can save my daughter's life, right? Now, just because my daughter's life at the point of death by the roadside was saved by Muslims, and I hate Muslims, do I now go to the hospital and say, I'd rather have my daughter die than being saved by a Muslim? And that white lady who says, I wonder who created God, because bull terriers and whites were created by God. That woman, if her life is saved by Thabo Mbeki, who's a black man, and who is saved by the roadside by Buhari, who's a black man, or by what will she say? Life sometimes it throws you curveballs and ironical answers. It awakens you in different ways and all that. So sometimes you might find the people you hate most, they can impact you. Yes. So that's why you must have a progressive, disciplined mind. It doesn't mean you are naive, you are soft, but if the characteristics tells you now the robot is green, you can cross. Don't say just because the robot was switched on by a white man and you don't like, no. You must be intelligent spiritually and physically. You must. Yes. Because sometimes the people who will impact your life very, very positively is people you have an attitude against. And when that comes to you, life is trying to tell you, progress positively with your life. Okay. So as leaders, it's very important to be aware of that. Very, very much aware.
Thank you.
I just want to throw something in the span of words. During global white supremacy, when white supremacy was at its height, even in South Africa and everywhere, there were laws, racial laws. Black people cannot be married with white people and all that. Whereas behind the scenes in the farms and all that, white people were raping our mothers, because they were the dominant group, impregnating our mothers because they needed the job and all that, right? But right now in the 21st century, with all these problems, it didn't start now. Look at one president of an African country. Sometimes I don't want to mention this. You having mentioned about disclaimers. I don't want. When he was in England, he fell in love with a white woman. The white establishment didn't want him.
And that was many years ago.
Yeah, that was many. Didn't want him.
Many years ago.
The white establishment didn't want him. When he came back home, the black cultural group didn't want the white woman on both sides. But they married, they were happily married until he died, and they had kids and all that. So I'm putting here not just the white people who are against, but also the black people who were against him marrying the white woman. So what I'm saying, if a certain group calls itself so superior, so superior, because when I lived in Europe and I lived in the States, I traveled extensively. This was in the 80s. It was even, you can imagine now, the number of across the lines relationships I saw from Italy to Portugal to England to Brussels.